She is one of the greatest writers who was born and raised right here in Sacramento. We're talking about Joan Didion, and now a book looks into her extraordinary life from heading to the Big Apple and LA.
Tell us more about it. We are joined by the author of the book, Alissa Wilkinson. Good morning, Alissa. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks so much. It's good to be here.
So, looking back on Joan Didion's life, I was thinking it's hard to pin her down on what was she, because she wrote, she was a journalist, but she also wrote novels, she wrote screenplays, she moved through society. In your work and in your study of her, how do you define her? Is there a way to easily define her?
I think she's undefinable kind of by design. She's just a very brilliant writer in many different mediums. I kind of came to believe that she was best as a media critic. If you look at all the different things that she wrote, whether it was journalism, whether it was history, it was novels, it was screenplays, it was interviews that she was giving, often she's really good at seeing how media and political and social culture have kind of come together in American life and what effect that's had on us. And that was a really great discovery for me in writing this book, which, started out as a book about Joan Didion in Hollywood and kind of became something bigger as I was writing it.
The book is titled We Tell Ourselves Stories, which is, a famous line from one of her books talking about how we kind of cope with the chaos of the world and what we tell ourselves in order to stay sane. What were the stories she told herself, do you think?
There were a lot of them, and she writes about them late in her life. Her last three books, which are Where I Was From, The Year of Magical Thinking, and Blue Nights, are really books about her thinking about the stories she's told herself and reevaluating them. But one of the biggest ones, and probably one of the most pertinent ones here, is in Where I Was From. She writes a lot about the stories she believed about California, fifth generation Sacramento, very embedded in the culture and history of the place. But in that book, she is thinking about what are the stories my family handed down, my community handed down, and why did I absorb them, and which of them are right and which of them need modification.
Yeah, so back in June of 2018, we actually had a chance to go to her childhood home. It was up for sale, and we're actually looking at this home now. But the stories that kind of came out of here, seeing her childhood bedroom where she would write, or these little nooks where she would read. What can you tell us about her childhood, and what kind of struck you about that then took you to this place of writing a book about her?
About her childhood home is that she had a picture of the Donner Party on her desk, and it eventually migrated to her writing desk, and it became something that I think was a guiding light for her. One of her ancestors apparently was supposed to be with the Donner Party and kind of peeled off just before the fateful winter, which is why we know about them. And I think that always hung over her as something that could have been her. Like it could have changed literally whether she existed. And that story recurs throughout her novels and her writing.
Yeah.
I think in part because it was so meaningful to her.
So one of the things I think is interesting is we mentioned that she was a journalist, but she also wrote novels, she wrote screenplays, she was a critic. You yourself are a film critic. Given your position now, do you find it crazy that she was not only a critic and a journalist, but then wrote the screenplay, so she was kind of part of the same group of people she was evaluating?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, she was a film critic. She wrote screenplays. She also wrote about Hollywood as an industry and as a place where, dreams are kind of manufactured. And also that's how Americans and the world eventually have learned to filter their reality. It was a time when there was a little more blurring of those lines. I certainly don't write screenplays, nor do I aspire to do so. But I think part of the reason her writing about Hollywood is so powerful, and later her writing about political culture as Hollywood seeps into it is so powerful, is that she really knows what she's talking about. She's been there. She's been on movie sets. She's been in the rooms as those decisions are being made.
Yeah.
So she's very aware aware of that logic and what that means.
Yeah, Alissa, we got to get you out to Sacramento for a book tour. I mean, it's only right, right?
I'd love to be there.
Yeah,
Stop here.
exactly.
The book is called We Tell Ourselves Stories. It's available now at all the places that you buy books. Alissa Wilkinson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's awesome.